is one of the ugliest things humanity has ever been involved with. And while ultimately at the end there is a victor, does anyone truly win from such a tragedy? There have been numerous films about war itself, showing soldiers storm battlefields in great explosive scenarios. But today, we want to look at the lives of other people during these tumultuous times and their contributions to the events. Before we begin, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Every new sub helps us achieve our goal and keeps us motivated to create new content. With that being said, I'm your host, Jamie, and here are 10 must-see wartime dramas. Number 1, Oppenheimer. Directed by the phenomenal Christopher Nolan, this film follows the life of J. Robert Oppenheimer, a man who's responsible for helping usher in the atomic age. However, while the film does dive into the process of how he worked with a team of scientists under military supervision out in Los Alamos, building the world's first atomic bomb, it mainly focuses on the trial that came after the bombs were dropped, claiming that Oppenheimer was not only a communist, but also a spy leaking information to the Reds, as well as hindering America's strength. This was all brought on by Louis Strauss, a jealous man with an inferiority complex, who felt slighted by Oppenheimer after he rejected his friendship and didn't buy into all his elitist crap. Basically, a giant vengeful witch hunt, like the 2017 Clinton investigations. We also get to see some of Oppenheimer's tumultuous lifestyle, as he was quite the womanizer, having affairs with both Jean Tatlock and eventually Catherine Kitty Puning, whom he later married and had 2 children with. Because of Oppenheimer's often cold nature and his constant wandering, Kitty established a rigorous drinking habit and often became belligerent toward him. Yet during the trial, she stuck by him fastidiously. In the end, Oppenheimer was found not guilty of disloyalty, but still had his clearance revoked, which effectively damaged his public image and any influence he had on American nuclear policy. While it may be a little too late at this point, in 1963, Lyndon B. Johnson presented Oppenheimer with the Enrico Fermi Award, an accolade in the scientific community that honors them for their lifetime achievements in the use or production in energy development. A brilliantly shot film with an absolutely supremely crafted sound design, especially the scene where they test the first bomb. It is a must-see for World War II enthusiasts, and earning a well-deserved Best Actor Golden Globe Award for Cillian Murphy's portrayal of the titular character. Have your mind blown over on Prime, Google Play, Fandango, or Apple TV. Number 2, The Zone of Interest. This is a very uncomfortable film to watch, even though cinematically, it is probably one of the most beautifully shot, and the sound design is out of this world. The film revolves around a Nazi commandant who moves his family into a small town neighboring a concentration camp. This camp in particular is the most notorious one, Auschwitz. Well, during the day, Haas and his family go fishing and have picnics and live a seemingly idyllic life. Just beyond the garden walls, you can hear gunshots, screams of agony, running trains, and the roar of furnaces. While this film depicts the cruelty of the camps with unflinching realism, it also shows the impact on those who were ordered to maintain it, and the conflicts that often arose within them. It doesn't excuse any of them from committing these atrocities, but it does shine a light on those who were loyal to the greater cause and disagreed with the methods, yet whether through fear or patriotism, did as they were told. You can say the same thing for modern US military as well, as many soldiers come back from war campaigns such as Vietnam, or more recently, the conflict in Afghanistan, and remarked about things they were ordered to do that didn't seem right, but did them anyway because orders are orders. This film is as haunting as it is gorgeous and will leave you with some intense emotions. So be prepared before heading over to Max, Hulu, Sling, Prime, Fandango to check this out. Number 3, Schindler's List. In 1993, Steven Spielberg received his first Best Picture and Best Director Oscar win for his unforgettable adaptation of the 1982 novel Schindler's Ark by Thomas Neely, which would go on to win the prestigious Booker Award for Literature. Schindler's List is quite high on my list of best films everyone should see, but I'll never watch again. Spielberg sat on adapting this novel for a decade as he felt deeply about the material, but wasn't quite ready to approach it. It was actually during the filming of Jurassic Park that Steve Zillion's script would be ready. Spielberg needed to film it in the winter of Poland of 1992, or he'd have to wait another year. He started filming Schindler's List during post-production of Jurassic Park, where he'd communicate via satellite video to keep tabs on that film. Schindler's List is the story of a Nazi soldier, Oskar Schindler, and how he went on to save 1,100 Polish Jews. Most of the film is in black and white, sans an occasional splash of color used for symbolism. The film was also Spielberg's first time collaborating with a relative newcomer, Polish cinematographer Janusz Kaminski. He would go on to win the Academy Award for Best Cinematography for Schindler's List and become frequent Spielberg collaborator, going on to work on films such as The Lost World, Jurassic Park, and Saving Private Ryan. You can see the Best Picture winning masterpiece on Netflix, Prime, Google Play, YouTube, or Fandango. Number 4, The Imitation Game. Based on the life of Alan Turing and the first major computer, this film is much more tragic than it is hopeful. As with many inventors, necessity fueled creation, and in this particular instance, it was the height of World War II, as the Allied forces were desperate to find a way to stop the Nazi regime from conquering Europe. In order to strategize troop movements and hinder German advancement, you needed information on the enemy's movements. And most of that came from operatives who crossed into enemy territory to gather intel and bring it back to high command at great peril to themselves. The Nazis used a machine called the Enigma, which encoded messages, but could only be decoded by the machine itself, provided you had the correct cipher. What Turing did was nothing short of visionary. He created a device capable of outthinking any human mind and breaking that cipher, allowing them to decode intercepted messages and gain the upper hand over the totalitarian adversaries. And you'd think, the man responsible for creating the first computer as well as the first forays into artificial intelligence would be held in the highest esteem. But due to the laws at the time in England, he was tragically buried under bureaucracy and shame. Alan Turing was homosexual, and once this was revealed, it basically obliterated and overshadowed all his accomplishments, as being gay at the time was straight up illegal. It wasn't until much later, 2013 in fact, that he was granted a posthumous royal pardon for his conviction of gross indecency, which went on to spawn the Alan Turing Law, retroactively pardoning other men convicted in similar fashion. However, unfortunately, Alan Turing ended his own life long before this was achieved, marking this as a more dark cloud in history. Head on over to Max, Hulu, Roku, Sling, or Prime to check it out. Number 5, The Pianist. I want to start off this particular entry and say it is absolutely insane what Adrian Brody put himself through to play this role. He broke up with his girlfriend, sold all of his possessions, and basically lived like a starving orphan just so he could feel enveloped by the role. In the film, he plays a Jewish musician, Władysław Szpilma, during the Great Purge of World War II. While most Jewish citizens were either killed or shipped off to concentration camps or forced to live in ghettos, Szpilma's musical talents impressed some of the officers in the Nazi army, which allowed him a bit of freedom. However, that didn't save him from seeing and experiencing some of the most diabolical horror atrocities ever committed in human history. And Brody performs these intensely emotional scenes with full heart and extremely engaging acting prowess. It's films like this that remind us of the evil that humans are capable of, and put comments like those of Elon Musk during his visit to Germany into perspective, that he truly doesn't have empathy for humanity and is a major part of the problem. However, aside from the impeccable acting throughout this film, the haunting imagery and the excellent score will fill you with emotions that could leave you feeling absolutely devastated. The film was nominated for 7 Academy Awards and walked away winning 3 of them, including Best Director, Best Actor, and Best Adapted Screenplay. I do want to add, though, that disgraced filmmaker Roman Polanski was at the helm for this film, which has also kind of cast a dark shadow over this film. But if you can look past that, definitely check this film out over on Tubi, Peacock, Fandango, Pluto TV, and of course, Prime. If you're really enjoying the video so far, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Number 6, Enemy at the Gates. With a plethora of World War II films showing the American forces storming the beaches of France and sending in hundreds of thousands of troops to help combat the fascist evil Axis powers, not too many have been made from the perspective of the other nations that also fought in the Great War. At least not commercial Hollywood films. Enemy at the Gates follows a Russian sniper, Vasily Zaitsev, and his comrades Kulikov and Tanya Chenova, as they hunt through the war-torn German landscape to capture or kill the elite German sniper Erwin Koenig. As Vasily takes out tank commanders and small squads of German infantry, his legend begins to grow amongst the Russian people. Stalin and his propaganda machine basically use this to create a hero, even attributing acts and events to Vasily that he had nothing to do with, to create this almost mythical super soldier. While the film does take liberties in recreating some of those events, overall, it's a pretty good depiction of how sniper tactics worked in World War II. Jude Law does an excellent job in his role, and Ed Harris is as menacing as ever as his adversary. You can check out this action-packed drama over on Pluto, Apple TV, Prime, or Fandango. Number 7, Zero Dark 30. For those of you who were alive during the events of September 11th, 2001, you will remember the name Osama bin Laden. After the attack that claimed the lives of some 3,000 people, the United States government launched a full-on assault on terrorism itself, and the hunt for the infamous leader of Al-Qaeda began. Zero Dark 30 focuses on the intelligence side of that fight, the infiltrating of several terrorist cells and undercover operatives who eventually relayed enough information that finally, during the Obama administration, we were able to put an end to the man and cripple his network's infrastructure. It mainly follows Maya, a CIA analyst who, through, let's say, unconventional interrogation methods as well as data networking and hacking, manages to track down the whereabouts of bin Laden and the people hiding him, and gets approval from the higher-ups to send in special force teams to eliminate the targets and take back as much intelligence as they can. What makes this film a must-watch is the aforementioned interrogation sequences, as many now have been straight-up outlawed worldwide, and it asks us the question, did it even work? Sure, we eventually got the results we wanted, but it also led us down so many false paths beforehand, and so many lives were wasted. And without the other intelligence that was gathered through other means, we still wouldn't have been able to know for sure if we were going in the right direction. Anyway, it's well shot, and the final moments of the film are so incredibly suspenseful. So make sure to head over to Prime, Google Play, Apple TV, or Fandango to check it out. Number 8, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Probably one of the most heart-wrenching depictions of concentration camps during World War II, it follows a young 8-year-old boy named Bruno, who discovers a concentration camp just beyond the garden walls. At first, he believes it to be just another farm, but through his friendship with Schmel and the increasingly dehumanization of the workers, he begins to learn what is really happening there. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm just gonna say this film is incredibly sad, depressing, the ultimate source of tears. As most films about this kind of subject matter are in the realm of tragedy, this film is just beyond that, as the friendship between the two main characters is so innocent and beautiful. I wonder if there will ever be a film about the American concentration camps that we employed and held captive some 120,000 citizens of Asian descent. A dark period in U.S. history that is often overlooked and not talked about nearly enough. They did touch on it a bit in Wind Talkers, but that film as a whole wasn't so great. Either way, head on over to Paramount Plus, Hulu, Fubo, Sling, Prime, Apple TV, or Fandango to see this masterpiece of a tragedy. Number 9, Darkest Hour. Gary Oldman is probably one of the best actors currently still making movies, as the roles he takes on are often so iconic due to his ability to be a chameleon and fully embody the characters he plays. When it comes to playing Winston Churchill, it's downright mesmerizing how well he portrayed the man. Then again, he did win several awards for it. In 1940, during the onslaught of the Nazi regime, British Parliament demanded the ousting of Chamberlain, and while they initially wanted to replace him with Lord Halifax, they ended up going with Winston Churchill, who years prior had correctly predicted the danger if Adolf Hitler were to rise to power. Churchill wasn't really the type to mince words, and this often rubbed other members in Parliament the wrong way. But no one could deny that he was a brilliant strategist and could make things happen. Using his station, Churchill shut down any kind of peace talks with the Nazi Empire, and instead galvanized the country into fighting fascism in full force. Not always the most relatable leader, he spoke from his heart and addressed the soul of his people, which only strengthened the country's resolve in fighting for what was right. The film depicts all of these moments in stark, harsh, and gritty scenes, as you feel the weight of the war take its toll on the nation and the cowardice of several other members in the government at the time who wanted nothing but to protect their own interests. I dare say, without Churchill, England would have fallen along with France and the Great War would have had quite a different outcome. Check out this bona fide intense historical drama over on Prime, Google Play, Apple TV, or Fandango. Number 10, Das Boot. We've talked about this film before on our 10 films aboard a submarine list, but we wanted to mention it again in this list for our war drama enthusiasts. This is an absolute must-watch. Wolfgang Petersen directed this classic war drama, which won Best Director and Best Adapted Screenplay in 1982 with this film, and was well-deserved. Many directors were considered for this film, but ultimately it went to Petersen, where he based this story off the novel from 1973 of the same name. It follows a German crew as they're aboard the U-boat U-96 during the height of World War II, patrolling the English Channel as well as the French coast against the Atlantic. During one such patrol, they come across British destroyers and manage to sink 2 of the 3, but refuse to take on any survivors. For the next few weeks, they see little to no action, mainly focusing on mechanical and engineering issues, and groveling about being cooped up in such confining conditions. They receive word that they have been denied leave and won't be home for Christmas. Instead, they are sent to Italy where a British plane attacks them, but they manage to evade being destroyed and get repairs underway as quickly as possible, setting a course to finally go home. Filled with tension, laughs, in a very detailed look at what it was like to be a German subcrew during one of the most destructive and dangerous wars the world has ever seen. It beautifully translates the experiences from the novel. Originally released in German, it has since been dubbed into English. However, I do recommend watching it in the original language with subtitles, as it feels more authentic. Make sure to check this out on Fubo, Prime, or Google Play. Thanks for checking out the video. Did we leave any films off the list? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to tap that bell icon to stay up to date with our latest releases. You can reach out to us on Twitter or X at Studios Fat, or chat with us on Discord, linked below. We're also now on Blue Sky. You can find us at studiosfat.bsky.social, which will also link below. If you're really enjoying our content and want to help support us, click that join button for exclusive content, rewards, and perks. Make sure to check out our very own merch store located at fatninja.shop. All proceeds go towards our next film project, so we'd greatly appreciate it. I've been your host, Jamie. Thanks again and take care.